Okay, so for my physics experiment, I decided to investigate different types of interfering with waves. And so today I'm going to explain the two types, and we'll do some demonstrations for them. So the two types are constructive and destructive. Um, so constructive and destructive interference, and then we'll also take a look at how a pair of noise-canceling headphones works. So let's start off with constructive waves. So um, let's think about two speakers, right? And let's say one speaker, well, let me show you. So I have two speakers here that we're going to go to in a minute. And let's say we have one, they're both playing the exact same wave. So let me show you, actually first let me show you my setup here. So I have my two speakers and I have the cables going up to just a little amplifier right here. And then right here I have a function generator, and so the output, this output is going to the amplifier, and right now you can just see that this is producing a sine wave. The frequency is about 441 hertz. And let's see, we don't need to worry about much else here. And then I have the output of this coming over to this oscilloscope here, just so we can see the waveform. So we can actually see that it's a sine wave. So first, let me talk about constructive interference here before I do the demonstration. Okay. So let's say we're playing the same wave through both of these speakers. So let's say we start by playing it through one, and then we turn the other speaker on, playing the exact same wave in the exact same phase. So it's not phase shifted. So what it's going to look like, if this is the wave right here, the sine wave for just one of the speakers, constructive interference kind of says that when you play the exact same wave, the result that you're going to hear audioly is going to be, the amplitude is going to be 2 times greater than what it originally was. So they'll add together in that fashion, right? So look something like, oops, would be a lot more steep than this, I would say. I'm actually having difficulties drawing this right now, but I think you get the idea. So it would be, let's try that again. Alright, so you can see that that's really kind of doubled now in terms of amplitude. So that's so amplitude is, oops, here's our original amplitude, right? And then our new one is roughly 2 times the original amplitude. Alright, so let's talk about the other type, which is destructive. So destructive, actually let me do my demonstration here first I'll do my constructive interference demonstration. So I have two speakers here, and one thing that I do need to do before we start, because I had it set up for the other demonstration, I actually need to reverse the polarity here. That way I can make the phase the same. So let me just put my phone down here for a second. And hopefully I'm not getting this backwards. Let's see. Yeah, I might have just mixed it up again, but we'll see. Okay. Alright, so I have my sine wave being generated, as we can see there. And okay, we're all set there. So I have my amp on. This is actually a mono output coming from this. I mean, if I showed you the back of this, so you can see I have a mono input, and then I have the two outputs. So I'm just going to need to move that out of the way, and for now I'm just going to leave it on mono, that way only one of the speakers will play. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright. Hopefully you can hear that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the mono button, which in this case all it's going to do is turn on this other speaker. Alright, and it should be, you should hear that it's about 2 times louder if I wired it up the right way. Okay, I did it right. I'll turn it off again. Let me try and position my microphone closer to the facing the speakers. Okay, so there's just one wave, and then there's 2 waves. 1, 2. Alright, so that's constructive interference, and it's pretty cool to hear that. Now let me talk about the other type. So that's destructive interference. So what's going on here is this is actually how wireless, noise canceling headphones work, but I'll talk about that in a second. So what's going on here is with destructive, this is just going to be one example of destructive, but there are many different ways that waves can interact and be destructive and interfere with each other in a destructive manner. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to wire one of the speak words backwards. That way, it's effectively playing, it's effectively flipped the wave over. And what that is it's called a phase shift. So that'll be a phase shift by 180 degrees. So, we can think, so here would be 360 degrees at this point, here would be 180, so if we kind of visualize that and shift it over, and we'll draw it, it'll kind of look like a DNA strand of sorts. So this is what it will look like. And so if you can imagine, if 2 waves, same wavelength, frequency, amplitude, and phase are being played at the same time, and it's constructive, it makes the amplitude go up. What do you think is going to happen here? So what's going to happen is they're actually going to cancel out. Okay, hence noise canceling headphones. So the resulting noise that you can audibly hear will be pretty close to nothing, because if you think about it, kind of shrinking these down. So let's do the demonstration. So again, I have my 2 speakers, and I'm just going to need to wire them up backwards. Let me make sure my amplifier is off first so I don't hurt myself here. Okay, and we're just gonna reverse the polarity. So essentially what this is doing is it's just a really easy way for me to do a phase shift. Okay, I could have 2 different function generators going there and playing 2 different waves, but this is definitely the easiest. So now I have my 2 speakers set up. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my amp again, and we're at 440 or 441 right now. Okay, we're all good. So I'm going to do this, I'll do this first at a high frequency, and then I'll do it at a lower frequency to demonstrate that that works as well. So I'll start with just the one speaker, so I'll have it on mono just so one of the speakers is playing, and then I'll press the mono in, and that'll effectively turn the 2 speakers on. But remember, they're playing the 2 different waves, so we're going to experience destructive interference. So mono, we'll turn up the volume here. Okay, and let me turn that up a little more. And for this one, it's all about finding the right spot away from the speakers. So I think right here is pretty good. And let's listen. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually had it already going. So let's go back. Alright. Let's turn that down. So alright, now, so I only have one of the speakers on, and I'll turn that up a little. And I'll position the phone here or so. And now I'm going to turn the other speaker on, so let's experience that. Alright, let me try repositioning the microphone to see if I can get that a little better. So here's one speaker, and here's two. I think that's amazing. I mean, you can definitely hear it a little bit, but it's just amazing that that it's so quiet. So now let's just turn that down. Now I'm just gonna we'll do a lower frequency. So let's see here. Alright, so that just shows a random low frequency, 103.6. So let me position my microphone here so you can hear it on the video. And so here's one speaker, and now switching to two. Back to one, and two. I just think that's amazing. I mean, again, you can still really hear it just a little bit. And if I get a little farther away here, it's not as loud. But I just think that's amazing how much of a difference that is. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down my amplifier here. Now let's talk about noise canceling headphones. So put my phone down here. So noise canceling headphones, their purpose is, if you're in a noisy place like an airplane or a train on your commute, these are great because they actually try to eliminate most of the noise outside of your headphones. I have a pair of these, and they really help with concentration and all that, and helping you focus. So how they work is they use destructive interference. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. It's very complicated to get it right. But that's the basic principle going on here. So how it works is in each headphone here, there's actually little microphones positioned all around it. So here's one. Here's one. Okay, these actually might be two right there as well. And so what it does is these microphones are always listening to your surrounding environments. And let's say the surrounding environment is the blue wave, right? Alright, so the blue wave is the noise from the environment. And then so what the headphone does is it records that, and this is all in real time, and then it actually plays it back with a phase shift of 180 degrees. So right, that's essentially inverting the wave, and that's causing that destructive interference, and that's essentially canceling out all that background noise. And so then, if you're listening to music or an audiobook or something, that's actually played over the top of this. So you can kind of think about it, since these are technically canceled out, then you can throw in your music, whatever that looks like. Alright. And since the background noise is at a 0, all you're really hearing is that music playing. So I just think that's pretty fascinating. The demonstration that we did here today is obviously a little more simpler than these work. It's pretty hard to get it right, to get it to be perfectly 0. So I think these are two quite amazing experiments: destructive interference and constructive interference. So thank you, and I hope this video was enjoyable.